Well, this is delightful, brutal, and fascinating. So buckle up for that. Kari Lake, as we've been following throughout the week, is panicking and trying to deal with the repercussions of both this horrific decision by the Arizona Supreme Court that upheld a 123-year-old law, Civil War era, before Arizona was even a state, a near total ban on abortion. And Kari Lake not only is a Republican running for Senate in that state, so already people being outraged about the subject of reproductive freedoms and people's rights being stripped away will hurt most Republicans. But on top of that, she has these clips circulating around of her voicing her vocal support for this very law being re-implemented. And so now she's coming out and correcting the record, saying, no, I don't actually believe that, and being called out for. So in this segment, I want to do a couple things. First, I'm going to show you parts of, I can't show the whole thing because it's sort of long, but parts of a video she posted clarifying, is how she said it, trying to clarify her position on abortion and just saying a bunch of mumbo jumbo that didn't actually clarify anything. And then a video that MSNBC's Morning Joe put together showing how badly she's flip-flopped on this subject of reproductive freedoms. And so before diving into any of this, just keep in mind, this is the outcome of an extremely motivated and powerful movement making clear what we want. And so good job to all of those activists, to all those voters, to all the people who have made clear America's not going to stand for these horrific laws being implemented and the rights being stripped away from women that they had for decades. And that's why even the Kari Lakes of the world, Donald Trump, backtracking, I'm actually not for what I previously said that I was for. Now, I really want you to try your very best to understand what it is that Kari Lake is saying in this video. Here's what she promises, then I'll show you what she delivers. Abortion's a very sensitive issue, and voters deserve to know where every candidate stands. Here's my position, and it's labeled Kari Lake's abortion policy. So presumably we were going to get some policy, right? She said some things that would pass as policy statements, but leaves a lot vague. And again, I know I've used this term a lot with Trump and Kari Lake, but this is panic manifested into a political candidate. This is just all out panic because they're seeing there's no way we can win if we're seen as extreme on this issue as they are and should be.
This total ban on abortion that the Arizona Supreme Court just ruled on is out of line with where the people of this state are. The issue is less about banning abortion and more about saving babies. I agree with President Trump. This is such a personal and private issue. I chose life, but I'm not every woman. I want to make sure that every woman who finds herself pregnant has more choices so that she can make that choice that I made. I'll never forget.
And then, gorgeous story she tells about her daughter being born, and I'm pro-family more than Kari Lake is, I'd venture to say. I love people having babies. Have babies out the wazoo if you'd like to. But I don't think her personal story about her having a child's relevant necessarily as we're trying to figure out what is it that you stand for, Kari Lake? Because so far we've heard she's not for the all-out ban upheld by the Arizona Supreme Court. Okay, so then what are you for then? More options for mothers who are pregnant? I don't know what that means. What would you vote for in the Senate? And so if we sort of skip around, let's see here.
To a struggling mother in a family. So many young people are saying, I don't ever think I could become a mother or father because heck, I can't even afford to get by on my own. How would I ever become a parent? They see the economy faltering, they see crime rising, they're working 2 and 3 jobs, and it's still not enough to get by. We need to make sure that our...
So there, Kari, are you then cheering on President Joe Biden and his expanded child tax credit that cut child poverty in half, but then that no longer is in place because of who? Republicans and some conservative Democrats, but mostly Republicans not wanting to re-up this program, the expanded child tax credit, pandemic era, but Biden said, let's make it permanent. And he's currently running on a platform that includes making that child tax credit permanent to help families and help them with the expenses that go along with raising children. Oh no, but you're not cheering on Joe Biden for that. Okay. And then, by the way, she said the economy's faltering. Economy has been recovering after the devastating pandemic-related crash under Joe Biden very successfully. Still problems, but they're being solved much better than they would be under a Trump administration. Crime is actually plummeting under Joe Biden, and I missed what the other thing was that she said, but dishonest.
Economic policies are growing our economy and making our young people prosperous as well, so they can live that America.
Okay, so not helping us with her stance on abortion. Let's skip forward even more.
Where we're deciding the issue. And yes, it's painful. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, there are emotions that are so strong, and people are angry, and people are sad, and they're furious. This is the difficult part. I didn't get into politics because I thought it was going to be easy. I'm okay with the difficult parts. And right now, we're in that part where we need to work through this issue. And thankfully, as we're working through this issue, it's not just going to be the abortion extremists calling the shots. People who are pro-life have the ability at this moment, thanks to President Trump, to be involved in this process, to come up with policies that will work to help women and save babies. We knew that when this issue was sent back to the states, there would be debate.
How many sentences can you fill with words that don't give us any insight into your position? We're hearing pro-life, but you just said you were against what you would define as one of the most pro-life, by their definition of it, laws. So we're still confused, Kari.
There would be argument, there would be teeth gnashing, but we're going to get through this. We are Americans. Heck, we're Arizonans. We're some of the toughest people out there. We're going to work through this. And on the other side, we're going to come out much better for it. They want this issue to bring down our country. They want...
Who's they? What?
Americans at each other's throats. And this issue has the ability to bring down our country or help save our country. And I want to help save our country. As your senator, I will oppose federal funding for abortion and federal banning of abortion. I'm not going to Washington, D.C. to impose federal restrictions on something that's already been sent back to the states. I'm going to Washington, D.C. to secure our borders, strengthen...
Okay, so at 5 minutes, here you can see the timestamp, and 16 seconds, we get policy. She won't fund abortion, and she won't vote for abortion bans federally. My goodness, burying the lead there. Hi, I'm Kari Lake. And as you know, I got into politics to make your life better. And here's how I'm going to do that. Freedom. Liberty. Babies. I'm for life. But I don't like the bans that prevent what I call killing life. Because freedom and states' rights. And Donald Trump made the economy good. Okay, I won't vote for any national abortion ban. That's my actual position. And listen, it is good that even if it's 5 minutes into the video after she tells her whole life story, my goodness, that the political situation has developed such that even MAGA candidates are having to say, I wouldn't vote for national abortion bans. Because previously, and still much of the Republican Party, advocates for that. And much of the base is upset with Kari Lake and Trump for saying they wouldn't vote for that. Now, we also have to keep in mind, before I play this next video, that these are some of the most dishonest people we've ever interacted with in the history of this country. So I wouldn't believe them. And this context that Morning Joe put together is a good reason to not believe them. Oh, by the way, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're enjoying the content, just click that subscribe button. Makes a huge difference.
I don't believe in abortion. I think the older law is going to go into effect. That's what I believe will happen. I don't think abortion pills should be legal. We have a great law on the books right now. If that happens, we will be a state where we will not be taking the lives of our unborn anymore. I'm incredibly thrilled that we are going to have a great law that's already on the books. So it will prohibit abortion in Arizona, and I think we're going to be paving the way and setting course for other states to follow. This total ban on abortion that the Arizona Supreme Court just ruled on is out of line with where the people of this state are. The issue is less about banning abortion and more about saving babies. I agree with President Trump. This is such a personal and private issue. I chose life, but I'm not every woman. I want to make sure that every woman who finds herself pregnant has more choices so that she can make that choice that I made.
Donnie, I don't know what you would do if you were running the ad campaign against, either Kari Lake or Donald Trump. I know.
Use their words.
There's nothing I would love more if I were a Democrat to run against these people. Nothing. It would be so fun. Yeah. I love when people start flip-flopping.
Yeah. And if Democrats don't win in a gargantuous, and I'm talking gargantuous, blue wave, then something's wrong. Because that type of flip-flop should get you politically punished. That's what that should get you. And again, I speak to the hopeful element of, look at this. Now even the extreme individuals within the Republican Party are frantically trying to pretend like they don't stand for what they stand for after seeing the harm of their policies actually play out. And that gets us to the less hopeful but important part of the conversation, which is what I've been saying previously. Again, exciting to see that the pro-reproductive freedoms party and movement is so powerful, and our voices are being heard so loudly that even this guy, Trump, and Kari Lake are backtracking and saying, we wouldn't do anything at the federal level. And I don't like this law that I used to say was super, super good. And so that's good. That shows the power. But that can't dissuade people from voting just as powerfully and just as large of numbers in favor of the reproductive rights candidates and punishing politically, electorally, the Donald Trumps of the world, the Kari Lakes of the world. Why? Well, Trump is to blame for everything we're seeing across the country now when it comes to this issue because he's responsible for the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And if Hillary Clinton had won in 2016, none of this would have happened. And so he has to be held accountable, which is the only way we can do it as voters, through the ballot box. And so that's important. But also, what I said in a previous Kari Lake segment, I think it was, is that you don't get to advocate and politically fight for something and work for decades as a movement to see something enacted. And then once it happens and the expected outcomes from that take place, then you disassociate yourself from it. No. Kari Lake, those clips, we saw you. And Trump, in his actions and his words, we saw you. And we know this is what you were working for. Kari Lake was hoping and advocating for and pumped about the idea of this law, this 123-year-old law being reauthorized and reinforced. And so now that you're getting what you want, you don't get to have us forget all of that about your record. You did this as a movement. Trump did it as an individual more than anyone else. And thus your entire political movement has to electorally be punished for it. And that's what we're going to do. And so that's the most important takeaway from all these stories. Like I said previously, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments.